Bullets are flying. They will hit you and they will kill you.
Yeah.
And so it's
not that you ever doubted it.
Not that we ever doubted it, but it was like... You
hadn't seen it.
You'd never seen it before in your life. You're 19, 20 years old.
Gosh dang.
I mean, I guess I was 20. So I turned 21 in Kuwait, February 25th of 03.
I'm not laughing because it's funny. I'm just laughing because that's heavy.
Yeah.
Like, I remember I turned 21. We went to the chicken.
Yeah.
I was at the Dixie Chicken in College Station.
Turned 21 and he took me to the tap.
Yeah, I bought you a beer when I turned 21. I didn't drink one myself.
They got a can of Kuwaiti Coca-Cola from the chow hall. I put some duct tape around it and wrote beer down the side.
That was your first beer. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
That was my first beer.
First legal beer.
Yeah.
So you come out of the back of that Amtrak. You did duck the first time you.
Oh yeah.
Coming full circle on your comment.
Well, and you're on the borderline of shitting your pants.
Not only did you duck, but
yeah. Now once later on. Once the second tour came along and I'd already experienced it, but for the very first time, like in your entire life that you've ever been shot at and know that you're about to get shot at and people are dying and people's lives on the other side are ending and you're potentially going to end them, like it's a pretty, I mean, it'll hit you pretty quick and hard.
What was it like that night? What did y'all stay like that night? Y'all stayed in the Amtrak?
Well, you don't really stay. Like you just
you keep moving.
Yeah, you're
not wording it right, Dale.
There's no staying. You might, if you're lucky, you might get an hour of sleep.
That was okay. So you've told me these stories, but like, so y'all did just kind of quote unquote stay in the Amtrak.
Yeah,
y'all just
we
moved
were in
around.
it. Yeah.
So it wasn't just like
there was no
y'all go out
getting in a rack or anything.
Yeah.
Well, there was I think I can remember 2 nights that we had enough time to stop, roll out a little,
2 nights
not
out of,
even
out of
sleep,
what?
out of like a month or so.
Damn.
That we actually got to like, not even a sleeping bag because it's too damn hot for a sleeping bag, but like that we actually got to like kind of lay down on the ground.
Yeah.
For a couple hours.
Right.
It wasn't like it was we weren't at the La Quinta.
Yeah. So that first deal, it wasn't like, all right, we cleared out this deal. How many hours? How long did that take? An hour?
No, not even like 30 minutes.
The way you told the story made it sound like it was relatively quick. So like, but it wasn't like, all right, we're done for a while, a week, or even y'all went to the next thing.
Yeah, so we
right
go
after that.
Yeah, so you just roll on to the next because you're eliminating forces in each town as you roll north. Because the
so
ending,
however long you got to the next town, that's the break you got.
Yeah, well, it's not even necessarily a break because you don't know what you're going to encounter along the way. Because there were Iraqis and trucks and whatever else, that you would encounter, and artillery and mortars, and every time we got a freaking mortar or artillery tech, we had to put that damn gas mask back on. And so you got to, do all that and go through your procedures and where's it coming from and call it in and, then they do an airstrike on it or an artillery strike on it and eliminate the force, then you can roll on. And so, but our convoy, I don't even know how many were in it because I was in the back of the damn Amtrak the whole time, but the convoy at different points in time would take artillery or mortar hits.
Yeah.
So then you have to essentially stop to eliminate the force before you can move on. And so we kept pushing and ended up like outrunning our supply lines. And so that was where I guess they were like, should we stop and wait for our supply? And whoever was in charge said, no, y'all keep on rolling. So we ended up the days. So there probably maybe the last week so it took us 3 weeks to get to Baghdad. Okay. And pull down the statue and all that business. Took us 3 weeks, and then we were there in Baghdad kind of as a show of force for about a week, maybe a little bit more before we went back to Kuwait. So we're in week, 2, about halfway through week 3, and we're down to 1 MRE a day. So
son of a gun.
So 1 MRE a day. I think we had taken off the chemical suits at this point, but it's still 120 degrees.
Right.
No sleep.
Was there AC in the Amtrak? This is probably a stupid question.
No. No AC. That window up top. That was the only AC.
So it's 120 outside, and you're in a metal box.
Yeah. In the back of a metal box.
And there's a window.
There's a window at the top. There's two top hatches that open up like this. That's it. And
so you're down to 1 MRE.
Yeah, so we're down to 1 MRE and a bunch of hot water. Because there's no ice.
Hey, let's stop and get some ice at this next truck.
That
you guys
water,
see a truck stop. I'd like a bag of ice.
That water is about like what most people would take a shower in.
Like the first water coming out of the water hose kind of water in the hot summer.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's
what you would take a shower in.
Yeah, that's the temperature of the water.
Super refreshing.
Yeah.
And you got to drink it.
Got to.
You got to.
You have no choice.
Especially when you only have 1 MRE a day.
Yeah, you can survive
How many calories are in an MRE?
2,500.
I bet they pack them. So, like, at least you're getting calories.
Yeah, and you can go without eating. You can't go without drinking water. It doesn't matter. Like you.
He went straight to that. Yeah. I'm just talking about getting enjoyment out of a meal, and he was like, "No, no, you're fine without food."
Yeah,
I'm just glad to have.
Well, and that's what it came down to, because we outran our supply lines, and so before we got to the Diyala River, before we crossed into Baghdad, they finally caught up to us. But we went 2 days with no MRE.
So this is just a lesson for you youngsters out there to listen to the podcast. When you watch these commercials, these military commercials where it's all sexy and everything. Well, we're in relatively like peaceful times compared to what you're talking about. So that, it might actually be like that. But like this story, you're 2 days with no food, and they knew it.
Yeah.
They're like,
they knew it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they said, no, keep pushing on. Yeah. Like we gotta get it while it's good. So like, we got to go.
You're without food. I don't really like to walk across the room hungry.
No.
I don't like to go to I'm not getting on a horse. I'm not ranching. If I haven't eaten, like I'm like the commercial with the Snickers. You're not yourself when you're hungry. That's me. Okay. So like you guys are 2 days without food, and you had to fight.
Yeah, and that's not only 2 days without food, but that's with hot water, no sleep. Like,
but I'm saying like, and in those 2 days even.
Yeah. Yeah, we're still rolling.
So like it's just you had that first experience. Was there anyone like in your were all 8 of y'all brand new to it? Or was there someone there with you guys that was like...
Was in Desert Storm or something?
Yeah, I guess it would have had to been 10 years earlier. I guess there probably wasn't.
Mm-mm.
There's no combat.
There was no combat experience around you?
Nobody.
Because like in the movies, there's always like a vet that's like, yeah, this is what it's like.
Yeah.
Well, and I guess in our defense, like, that was 19 years ago. So like, there's been a lot of people... We all know someone in the last 19 years, been to Afghanistan, like yourself, been to Iraq. Yeah. But at the time when you were in there, that was not the case.
There was nobody. I mean, it had been...
So you guys all experienced
1991.
That for the first time together, and you just had to... Was there anybody that, I mean, like, did everybody in your circle, like, take to it pretty good and, like?
Yeah, everybody in my, so we kind of got rid of the people that we thought weren't going to make it before.
Oh, so you had already kind of culled out.
Yeah. There was a couple guys that didn't make the trip.
Yeah.
So, but
because
for the most part,
because they weren't like interesting to talk to, or because you thought they might get you killed.
Yeah.
Was that like a group vote? Like, who decides that?
The platoon commanders and
Was there? But for the most part, they made the right call.
Oh yeah.
So like your guys that are with you, they like.
Oh, we had a guy that was.
He slipped through the cracks.
That's what we always call it. Every once in a while, there's somebody that goes through boot camp that this kid spent a year in boot camp trying to get through, and he slipped. Camp? Yes, spent a year in boot camp.
Would fail,
go back, fail, go back.
Wow.
Spent an entire year in boot camp.
And he's with you in Iraq.
No. He didn't make the trip.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
He's one of the ones that he didn't necessarily.
Yeah, so
He's at the recruiting station.
This is gonna sound terrible, but like we got tired of helping him all the time, like trying to push him and trying to, like, and so one day we were in training, like had gas masks on, running up hills in California, and my squad leader at the time was like, hey Sherrod, help him, like. Push him up the hill. Make sure he gets up the hill.
This is that guy?
This is that guy that didn't make the trip.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, I'm going to push this summer gun up the hill. So I put my feet in the ground and I stick my hand in the middle of his back and I'm freaking trucking it. Like I'm getting up this hill. And he's like this. And I'm pushing the crap. And eventually he just gives out and falls down. Like he just fell down in front of me. So I just went right over the top of him and just kept on going. Like I was like, man,
what more can I do for you?
Yeah, I can't help you anymore.
Yeah.
Like and so, he didn't make the trip. But it's guys like that don't, they end up kind of.
So I'm just, you're 2 days without food.
Yeah.
Like, what's it like fighting? No sleep, no food, only hot water. It's 120 degrees. What was it like? I mean, did it mess with your mind?
Not at that point.
In the heat of it, you're sharp enough that.
Yeah, you're sharp enough, and at that point, since you're in week 3, you've had that last 3 weeks of experience, so it's almost like it's another day.
Do you feel?
I mean, you still
did you
get
feel
to
like that
level.
3 weeks had gone by fast, or did you feel like it was like a year?
No, I felt like it went by pretty fast,
really?
And I'm sure there's a lot of stuff about it that I don't remember. Like just flat out don't remember. Like it was
just
kind
like
of
shit that went down.
From the first firefight until we cross into Baghdad is all almost just a blur. I mean, I remember.
How many fights do you think happened between?
At least 6.
Like 6 where it's just like there's bullets flying at you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if they didn't run when we got, because they started getting, once, we're a week and a half into this, they start kind of getting work, because they're cell phones at this point, and they've got them.
Yeah.
And so they're getting word passed down to them like,
hey, these assholes are coming. Man.
Yeah, they're going to kill you.
What's his name? What's his name didn't answer the phone.
Yeah.
So.
Man, these guys are jumping out of tanks wearing rain gear, man.
Text not delivered.
120 degrees.
Yeah.
These guys are crazy.
I thought he was an alien.
These guys are crazy.
These guys are aiming.
And so by that point.
There's one short one called Sherrod. He's got explosives in a 240. But you can get him if his arms locked up.
Yeah, just make his arms lock up. Yeah. He's toast. But yeah, so at that point, once we roll into town, it's almost like there was somebody telling them, hey, you got to go out in that fighting hole or I'm going to kill you.
Yeah.
And so they go out in that fighting hole. Once we roll into town, they're shucking their clothes and they're out of there.
What do you mean?
I mean, they're taking off their uniform. They're taking off their uniforms and they're hightailing it.
Oh, so they're like, hey,
they're going to the nearest house and getting under the mattress. Like they're not trying to, you know, they're sitting there eating grapes one minute, and then the next minute they're freaking out of there.
Was there, did any of them happen at night?
Not very many. Maybe a few.
So that's just the first 3 weeks. How long were you over there, the full tour?
So the full tour, so that first tour wasn't that long. We went over there for a specific reason.
Okay.
We were in Iraq for a month, and we went back down to Kuwait. So we crossed over into Baghdad somewhere around the beginning of April, like the first week of April or so. Pulled down the statue and did all that stuff, and then we were kind of an occupying force. We did patrols and eliminated some forces and cleared some buildings and different stuff like that, and talked to some locals and stuff for about a week and a half, and then we went back. Then we just drove all the way back down to Kuwait, and then we were in Kuwait for probably 2 or 3 weeks, just kind of sitting around, and then we got on a ship and went back to California.
So you were only there total?
I was only there fighting for a month.
Yeah.
Out of that whole deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's like, hey, we need to go over there, send a message.
Yeah.
But y'all knew that you weren't done.
We kind of assumed that we weren't done, but so they came in. So the Army came in and relieved us at that point. And
gotcha.
And so then, we went home. And so then they occupied and kind of,